begin the order, please. Judy, if you read the roll.
Yeah, Neil Butler,
Here.
Judy Neville, Tom Schulte.
Here.
Yes, sorry, I heard you. Amy Carroll. Todd Lavieri.
Here.
Michael Chin, we think not. Chris Labrie, no. All right, Victor Alvarez.
Here.
Maria Weingart. Here. Bob Hamlin.
Here.
Paul Wellman, or,
Here.
I heard you, thank you. First Selectman Kevin Monahan. So we will need to seat Michael Chin and Chris Labrie. So we will seat Maria and Paul.
Yeah, perfect.
So we need a motion.
A motion. Amy first, second, Camille. So all in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Okay. The only thing I would ask for Bob and Tom, we have a couple of votes tonight, so just raise your hands if you want. I know you guys are on mute going back and forth. Feel free to chime in, and if you have anything you'd like to add, put your hands up. We'll keep an eye on the TV.
And with hybrid meetings,
I am not a voter tonight. Is that right? I just want to be sure.
Not see Bob, right? No.
I said
You
Maria.
said Maria and Colin. So no, you're not Bob. I'm sorry.
So I won't raise my hand.
Yes.
No, Bobby was on last time. I checked the minutes.
Okay.
All
No problem. I just wanted to.
right.
if, since we're hybrid meeting, if the vote is unanimous, you can not raise hands and identify yourself. If you have to take a roll call,
Okay.
if it's not unanimous.
Okay.
You generally have unanimous votes.
Give it
Yeah,
to me
well,
again. If you're
I'm gonna
hybrid,
get something 2 years ago.
if you're hybrid, you do not have to raise your hand.
If it's unanimous, you do not have to
Okay.
raise your hand and identify yourself, but otherwise you have to take a roll call.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. That's good enough.
All
If
right.
you want to comply with it.
Good, no, and
We all do.
And we do, and we do, but the rules, we move around a little bit, so we did the best we can. Okay, that was pretty much. All right, so. Motion to approve minutes? Approve.
You want to do them together? There's
Oh,
two-
thank
there's
you,
two
thank you,
sets of
thank you. Yeah,
minutes,
the
two
November
sets.
9th, thank you, the November 9th meeting minutes, and then the November 15th special meeting minutes. So, motion to approve, both, please. Neil, second? Second. Victor, all in favor? Aye. None opposed. Unanimous. Thank you. Okay, first sentence.
Good evening, everyone. Good to see you all in person. I know you read my weekly updates on Thursday evenings. We only send them to residents over 75 years old by voice message. It costs us money actually. So just to quickly recap, we're still in a moderate uptick. Mild illnesses and asymptomatic. If they're vaccinated, we don't have any hospitalization or deaths. Fortunate. We continue to remind people to get vaccinated if you're not, because it's the only thing that works. And we're doing weekly booster clinics. Many clinics tonight. The health department, we're doing vaccination clinics, and we're doing twice weekly testing at Irwin. Our vaccination rates are extremely high. Our health department has done a fabulous job. And I can't thank them enough for the hours they work and the protocol they have to get people in and out. It's terrific. So.
And what is the vaccination rate? Great, that percentage, remember?
For the various age brackets, because they use statistics for census from 1 year and total population from another year. Age brackets, several. 4 of our age brackets say 100%. Now we know it's not 100%.
Right.
Right? We actually also discovered the reason why our 45 to 65-year-old 64 week was low, because a number of people had gotten vaccinated elsewhere, like Stanford Hospital, and they didn't put it into the system. So when we did that second shot to us, we said, oh, if you're not in the system yet, so our numbers, we discovered a number of people in that age bracket have been reported. So
So like, I got vaccinated first time down in Greenwich.
yeah.
Was that again reported?
The state system
Yeah.
has everybody's.
But if I got my booster in New York City.
Yeah.
Would you not get?
They're
You
supposed,
pay taxes everywhere.
they're supposed to be. Remember last year when we had a lot of college kids reporting
Yeah. that's
being
right.
positive, you give your legal address. So people who test here or get a vaccine here, if they're Florida residents, get reported in
Okay.
Florida. If they're a Canadian resident, no matter where you go in the country, they're
They
reported.
get, okay.
So nationwide TRC system and,
But is there a percentage for the people who have boosters?
no, they don't report that. No,
Interesting.
they make you track of it, they don't report it. They also won't tell you which is variant you test positive for, so.
So the town, I'm sorry, I did not know when we get a booster, even here in town, we track it,
We track it, they won't
there's no
report
data coming back,
it. The state doesn't report it.
because,
Doesn't report it, count, actually, they do, they are reporting gross aggregates.
yes,
But they don't report to
I didn't.
health departments.
After your last update, I went in and checked on the numbers, and your total was 71%, was a little better than what you indicated.
Well, you know,
And
the
it's be better this
under
month.
5-year-olds who weren't eligible, when you count, you know,
Yes,
that's.
I wasn't
that's
counting
3,000 or
them, I was
4,000 kids.
talking,
Right.
yeah.
You know, the overall eligible numbers are extremely high.
Great.
And 5's the minimum, 5 years old, the
Yes.
lowest number?
5
Yeah.
Mhm.
Five. 5
So a quick update on capital projects, the Playhouse Roof was just completed, looks great. Natural gas is coming to town hall this week, and we have a dual burner boiler downstairs, so we will, are glad to get natural gas. We're working on the CHP project for town hall, traffic for the Board of Selectmen. And the downtown infrastructure year is coming to an end with Aquarian on Main Street, Elm Street, nightmare. So, they were delayed to finish up on Main Street, getting those pipes out of there, and then Elm Street is. We will be doing a lot of repaving next summer of all the 2018 streets that were natural gas was brought to. And Tiger can give you a lot more details of where we are on infrastructure here. But 220L is moving forward after a few bumps in the road. The town council public hearing tomorrow night on the sale of 2 town units. We completed our $25 million bond offering, as Linda had sent you a report, with an incredible 1.527% interest cost. The 20-year bonds were 1.95%, legal low rates. And we got $2.1 million in premium to apply to other capital projects. And we're making great progress on the Playhouse operator. We have some exciting news, I think, in January to unveil with the request for capital improvements. And we're making great progress on the Wayne House study, which will also be coming forward in January. And finally, we have the cell towers. We have, I was told I was going to receive today the technical report. The Punch Bridge cell tower, which then started 90-day period, we'll have a public hearing before the Board of Selectmen in January, so that we can get input to Homeland before they bring it to the study council. Probably the first of that should be moving forward. And Soundview Lane is being energized this week, and we will have more news on cell towers in January. And then finally, nothing to report on our CFO search, but hope.
hopeful candidates, you've got candidates, yeah. That's it. Okay, anything else? That's good. Okay, next item is the budget update and discussion. I'd like to highlight that Todd, Michael, and Chris are giving this update, and 2 of the 3 aren't here. Appreciate the support, as always. So here's where we are. We had, it's interesting, with Linda leaving, of the many gifts he gave us, the last one was we accelerated our budget by about a month, I think, to get a lot done. And Josh has done a terrific job starting to build some things. So the only real action that's happened is we built some models. We built a simulated model just to play with our variables on our revenues, our expenses, healthcare costs, and so forth. So we're looking at all that. Our goal is still to try to be in the amount raised by taxation has been more or less flat, as everybody knows, for 4 years. We'd like to keep that in the 1% to 2% range if we can. I think that's going to be doable. You'll see more of this in January when we get some more of the information coming through. I don't know how we'll get to flat. I think flat will be hard. That's not out of the question. We'll keep working it. But I would say 0% to 2% on the amount raised by taxes, which is extremely low. And of course, over a 5-year one is ridiculous. Was
I'm
that-
just, zero is flat, interesting.
Zero's flat, that's
Just saying.
true. I'm
0 to 2.
putting that range out there as a hopeful low end. I think will be a +1, but if you tell me we'd be +1 over 5 years, does anyone argue with that? Yeah. Okay. We had an excellent first meeting with the Board of Ed. So I had Michael, Chris, and the Josh and on the Board of Ed. There were some of the members of the Board of Ed, first selectman joined us. And what we wanted to do was get a jump on the discussion. And the way we're really looking at the Board of Ed budget is in 2 pieces. The operating amount and health. On operating, in our model, we're hoping to be in the under 3 number for operating increase. Actual to budget, not budget to budget, important. And they were just over 3, like 3.25 or something like that. I don't know the exact number, but they were just over 3 in their preliminary view. So we also looked at each other and said, can we get under 3? And that was their homework assignment. So we'd like to get under 3 on the operating increase. I would put that at pretty good odds. I think we'll get under 3, which would be good. On the healthcare, as I said before to them and say to you all, it is what it is. We spend $1 million a month on health expenses, more or less over there for years. I don't expect that to change a whole lot. The only issue is the reserve fund amount. The reserve fund is 20% of the expense. The expense called $13 million. That would put the reserve fund at 2.6 million, of which we have 60% or about $1.5 million. They have about $1 million. That's what we're going to run into. That's how we're going to manage it. And so we're going to really try to simplify and streamline that. But the health expenses are what they are. We'll have an estimate. There'll be a projection, and we'll budget accordingly. But they are what they are. So that's how we're going to handle it. So I think that should be, if they can come in under 3, then they'll have the puts and takes as they go through their process. That's where we are on the Board of Ed. Of course, that's 62% of the budget. On the town side, you've already done your preliminary work, right?
Josh, remind me
Josh.
where we are.
We have done it. I think we just recently updated the salaries, and I think it was 2.2. I think it's 2.2 over last year's budget.
What about actual?
The last year's actual.
That's what we really want to kind of lock in on now. We really want to do actual, budget to actual, because we
I
understand.
think I have 1.7
That's a good
over
number.
yeah.
That would be really good.
over
Okay.
2021 actual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, right, I know, I understand, because we have this year's budget, we
Sure.
have next year's budget, I appreciate that, we're trying to understand over that period of time, so. Okay, well, anyway, it's early, but we're starting to gather that data. You and I need to put together a draft of a simulated model with assumptions for the January meeting to get everybody, the pump primed with the information, and then obviously start the meetings in February. But I feel like we're getting a little bit of a jump on it, and we'll work it hard.
Todd, let me ask you a question, as you guys are all building these budgets. Employee expenses, we know, healthcare is going to be what it's going to be, but in terms of inflation, in terms of raw materials and what it costs to get stuff done. So if we keep Tiger's paving budget flat, but the amount of paving to be done is
Might have to go
down.
down, right?
Yeah, so I mean, I think we should make sure, you can keep it really low, but you maybe not delivering what you need to do to stay on budget. So I think we
Pretty
really
true.
gotta be cognizant
That's
of
a good
all those
point.
expenses going forward, because it doesn't really do us a heck of a lot of good to say we were flat 1 year and then we have to catch up 3 years later.
Right.
So that's the cost, and if the paving's gonna be up, as an example, X amount.
Yeah.
Or even like the tree stuff to get the same amount of tree work done. So let's just be cognizant, and I know we want to be careful in how we spend money, but we also want to make sure we deliver services.
So message to you, Tiger, I mean, I think we'll probably look at, modest increase and what is the trade-off, is I think what Amy's saying, at least, and see what that might mean, if anything, don't know, but yeah,
And
that's.
what it costs to do the
The
same
job,
amount this year,
right,
this
right.
next year.
That's
I mean, let's just be,
Yeah.
let's be honest about it. And if we decide we can't do as much as one thing, but we might say, yeah, we
That's
really
right.
should do this.
I think that's totally fair. On the revenue side, again, we'll model it. It has been more dynamic than we've ever had, right? You can see things were down dramatically in parking over a couple of years, but they've spiked up in other categories. So we'll take a swing at, we were very conservative on some of our revenue estimates, looking, you'll go through this a little bit later, but we're gonna, looks like we'll beat those revenue
Of course.
estimates very nicely this year. Great, that'll, be a positive.
Has everyone met Josh?
I was just gonna.
No.
Oh, I am so sorry, well, you was at our last meeting.
But we didn't make a
Yeah.
meeting.
Oh, I thought you, I've had you in a couple of meetings.
Yes.
I don't really know how you can do
Josh,
that.
Not any.
Josh is our new budget manager,
I'm so sorry.
and
Thank you.
Linda has trained him well, so.
Yes.
Baptism by fire.
Baptism by fire. Yeah, baptism by fire.
But how long have you been with us?
2 years almost,
Yeah.
Oh, and some, yeah. so
Yeah.
that's-
That's why I figured everybody knew who you were.
But now you're gonna face to the budget.
No.
You're owning it.
Well, you jumped right into it, and so we'll go through, but it looks like we were conservative on revenue, so that'll benefit our general fund at the end of the year and all those kinds of things. So you'll see all of that as it comes together. But then again, we'll do the best we can on revenues. We're always gonna be conservative because the last thing we wanna do is overestimate that. That's fatal. And so we'll be very cautious on that. When does the grand list get?
Everyone knows Diane as well, Diane.
Oh, yeah.
Golden was our controller.
Linda won't let any of these people.
He was protective of you.
As far as the grand list,
Yeah, so
we're assuming 1%, but I think we're gonna do better than that.
so that'll have a positive impact on a mill rate. So we'll keep that in the back of our pocket over the
It's
process.
gonna be difficult to keep an 18 handle on the authority.
Well, that'll be, right, we won't change the grand list this cycle, right? That'll be next year after.
23.
Okay, we'll look at all that. In any event, any other questions? That's where we are.
Yeah, I have a question. How are the vacancies looking on the labor cost side? Because I know there's a lot of pressure for people to demanding higher salaries because of the shortage of workers.
We get incredible amount of resumes, but jobs become available. Tiger has had some difficulty filling some slots, but
Tiger, you want to touch on that? Victor's question? Any?
We just were able to fill one of our mechanics. We're still looking for another one. We got 9 resumes, but it was after 2 separate searches for looks, but our salary range was fine for the employees looking. At present, we haven't seen a driver in that regard as far as people demanding additional pay, but we are having difficulty filling positions. I will say that, not just for us, but land use is having difficulty as well.
Have you got any hint on the CFO search? Did you see a flood of resumes?
we get a lot of private sector resumes, but the municipal field is sparse and tough to, but we got some very good candidates to look at, so.
Our salaries?
Part of the issues, not having a pension plan. Is
Yeah.
kind of mismanagement stuff that it
I'm
was.
on record disagreeing with that, just to remind you.
Save us millions.
Bad move. Well, no, for individual high-level negotiating positions, you always keep your leverage, but we didn't, so.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so Joshua will give us the budget update a little bit later, and then you and I'll talk about what we want to present in January to this group for getting ready.
Sounds
Okay, but not for tonight.
I have one more question.
Yes.
So when, and I just, when do we want to be planning to get together with the subgroups that we work with? Like, for Parks and Rec.
The liaison meeting with your various areas.
Thank you.
You should.
Now that, since we're so early in the process on the town side, the commission, the commissions they have commissions are reviewing with the.
So early January.
So we
I
can
will
do it early
I
January.
will. Yeah, I mean, that's why,
Yeah.
I got the Board of Ed done early already because of that. So, yeah.
And coordinate with the town council and join your meetings.
Exactly, we'll do it once and get it done. Great, sure.
Where am I?
Thank you.
One of the to-dos will be the scenario for 0 to 2%, getting the amount raised by taxation in that level. And you're keeping an eye on the mill rate. If there was a lot of sleep over it, in the sense that that's a math equation based on the grand list. I mean, we'll freak out if it goes to 19, and when we redo the grand list, and then it goes back to 17, everyone's gonna feel good. We didn't do anything. We literally did nothing. So it's a math equation, but it matters because, so it's the amount we ask. Okay, good. All right, next item, premium pay. So you've seen my emails on, that I've sent out to this board, and just kind of give an update on everything and where we are. I think you recall that I met with the town council. They asked that we bundle the teacher amount, which we already approved, to the town employees. So this is the amount, the $700,000. I guess you should read it, and you should read the authorization for the item, and make sure we get the language in here. And that's what we'll have a motion on, and we can discuss and then vote. Okay, Judy, you want to read it?
All right, hold on, where is the,
Number 5.
you want me to read the
Yeah, I think it's-
authorization? All right.
That's what it is.
Premium pay authorization of a $725,050 expense from a portion of ARPA funds compensating the town for lost revenues to be distributed to town employees, volunteers, and BOE teachers and staff as directed by the Board of Selectmen, Superintendent of Schools Brian Litzy, for a thank you bonus for their help, support, and service during the COVID pandemic.
That's what's on the table. Doing a motion.
Can we clarify just for the minutes who volunteers are? We had a preliminary discussion.
All the EMS that are eligible,
We did,
some
yeah.
people may not be eligible because they weren't employed at the time. And all the firemen.
And is that volunteer fire?
Yes.
As
All the-
opposed to,
all the fire-
yes,
all the-
all the
all
firemen
the-
are
all the
now
eligible,
included?
yeah.
All right.
But they did a yeoman's job
I
shooting
just-
TPP throughout, not only for County, but as far as starting.
Yeah, I just think that needs to be.
I'm so glad you asked that question, because as everybody knows, my son's a volunteer EMT. He is not going to partake in the program, okay? So he's gonna, obviously, I can't ask, I can't have this job and have him obviously getting paid, so to be completely above board and squeaky clean on this. My St. Peter library won't be part of the program. So,
What
Also,
about, did the Board of Education originally, they were just gonna be bonuses for teachers? Did they move beyond that universe to like teachers, assistants?
yeah, the superintendent picked all the eligible people. I don't know that it's everybody, but it's everybody they thought were deemed to be eligible beyond teachers. It's teachers plus, for sure, yeah.
You're about peer towns, or other towns.
Certified. I don't know any other town.
We're way ahead of it. From what I've heard from around, and I asked Linda to check this out. Do you know of any other towns in Fairfield County? So this came up when we voted on it, and I did get, and I know we all know the CFO of Stanford.
Right.
And so she said, he caused me a lot of trouble.
As did the,
So,
is town hall employees part-time with benefits, or all of them, including those without benefits that are here a day or two? Is it just part-time with benefits?
Is my understanding with the ARPA is that we left it with the HR departments for the schools and the towns
That's
to figure out what is the most appropriate
maybe their job.
number, amount, and the individuals who would be.
So it's
in-
not prorated based on hours or days?
Well, I just think,
Okay,
I think we
just-
didn't get into it. It's a, I guess that's executive session stuff, and we didn't get into it, so we just have to rely on the people running the departments to make the best decision.
Yeah, they made these decisions and it rolled up to this amount of money. So this is what we need to approve. Thank you for that. Okay, a motion to approve. Amy had a, you still have?
I will approve.
Amy, second?
Also,
Second, Judy, thank you. Okay, before we vote, discussion, any other questions, any other bits of clarification? I know we've been talking about this since September, but there was some good input, people wanted to make sure there was analysis, and of course, town council wanted us to bundle this, so I appreciate the effort to get it right, we just have to get it done.
Can you get it done by?
Okay, well, that's a, I think Cheryl tells me yes,
goal,
if we get it done tonight. Okay, so with no other discussion, all in favor, please say aye.
I think because we have to do by roll call.
Yeah, roll call, that's fine. Thank you. Okay.
So why don't you on Zoom,
We'll do
just
the
say your
roll.
name and say aye, so.
So Tom,
Column Dobbin, aye.
Tom,
Aye.
And Tom's in favor. Aye.
Bob's, but he's not seated, so.
that's right. Okay,
So-
yeah.
Amy? Yeah, I,
Liam Benedict, aye.
Judy Neville,
Aye. Aye.
Maria Whiteheart, aye.
Victor Alvarez, aye.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Well done, everyone. Thank you. Okay, I think this next topic is, we had asked for an update, again, review the bidding, we had a committee put together the appropriation recommendation for ARPA. Amy, who was you from?
Well, me, Maria and Michael,
You, Maria, Michael,
and then, number of people from.
from town council, yeah, okay. So how would you like to present where we are? Do you want to go through? And
Sure,
does everyone have it?
yeah, this, the selectmen's, approved, the first, tranche, I'll call that, having different, wordsmith behind it, projects that would be, fall within the ARPA fund distribution of funds. And, there is the list that, was approved, was it this week, Tuesday, or whatever? On our subcommittee, Joint Board of Finance Town Council, we came up with what we thought were parameters and a listing of projects, kind of balancing some of the ones that were initially put out by some of the considerations that, I won't go through it again before, that we thought should be taken care of. And in the number of projects, that are put forward by the Selectmen's Office, everyone except one matches the ones that we recommended to fund. There's one small item for live repayment of $60,000. We didn't really get into it. My understanding that is it falls definitely within ARPA usage, which would be for economic development. So, you know, at this point, I see no reason. I mean, the committee got together and they said they seemed all fine for us, and it made sense to move forward. And this is just the first bundle, about 2 million. We got another 4 million to go, which I got the thought from everyone, which you don't have to do it all right away. And this does include the bonus pay within this $2 million.
So I believe we get 3 now and 3 later. That's how it was delivered to us. So we still have 1 million that we literally have.
Yeah.
And we can distribute anytime over the next 2 years.
Right.
And then we have 3 million more that we can do up for the next 2 years. Okay.
There's many places we could use.
No, not question. I get it. I really actually applaud the way you did this. This was thoughtful because
I think
that was a smart way to do it. You left a lot of dry powder for future conversation.
Tucker, we be back because I wanted to talk about the community foundation.
P and Z's got one quick issue, so let me just quickly go take care of that.
So, and I guess.
Amy, can I just ask, or maybe Kevin can answer, did we not talk about the bathrooms or in the capital? Or has that been taken out and paid for in this?
Well, Tiger, could you clarify? I think your committee was somewhat confused about the bathrooms that lately. Tiger, could you explain the plan for the additions to the building rather than the potty shed? Because someone mentioned that you had determined that the bathroom didn't work for the potty shed, but that's not the case. Could you explain what we're planning to do for the bathrooms?
Sure. So what we had originally is we had the potting shed, and we had proposed putting a bathroom inside the potting shed to service that area of the park. In conjunction with that, the town players was looking at redoing or renovating the playhouse itself. Hadn't been renovated since 1983, and kind of bringing forward a plan of expanding the lobby. I suggested that they hire the same architect that we were using to look at their work to try to see if there was some synergy. During that process, the architect looked at the potting shed and felt that that could necessarily be used as an educational space for the playhouse, for the powerhouse, or as a black box theater, or an area for doing small shows and rehearsals and things like that. And then making it more of a campus feel by putting the bathroom, extending one of the walls of the existing powerhouse, so then it will become an exact square. And then putting that way you could have a nice courtyard in the middle and it become a nice campus feel overall. So we had him pursue that look, and the numbers work either way. So we had $250,000 in our proposed fiscal year 23 budget for bathrooms in the potting shed. when we had him look at possibly doing an extension on the existing powerhouse building, and then just the town, taking the town's responsibility of doing the exterior shell and replacing the floor that had collapsed, and then allowing the powerhouse to come in and fit it out as far as any space that they would like to see at that point. The numbers came in very close, $110,000 to do the work at the potting shed to make the exterior, do the roof, the exterior, and the floor, and then $150,000 to do an extension off the existing building to put in bathrooms. So 250 versus 260. Say 250 was in the proposed budget, 260 would be the revised number. Say it probably still can be done at the 250 range. So the thought was the town player is going to come forward asking for permission to use that portion of the building or that building for their use. They went to Park and Rec. They had, because by lease, they have to go to the commission first to get approval from the commission, and the commission unanimously approved it at their meeting last week. So their next steps will be to come to the Board of Selectmen, Board of Finance, Town Council, in essence, to ask for usage of that building. And so while they can be mutually exclusive, they can be, run together, they can be run separate. So the thought is, we need bathrooms in that area of the park. We can put them in the potting shed, or we could put them adjacent to the potting shed on an extension of the existing building, satisfy both needs at that regard by giving the potting shed to the powerhouse, to the town players, and then still get bathrooms, and the number doesn't change for the town. We still renovate the building that we needed to renovate, and we get bathrooms in the area where we need them. So
And
that's,
part of those bathrooms are accessible from the outside of the building. It's not that you have to go inside.
no, they would be, exactly. They would be, part of the courtyard work would be an accessible walkway coming off of the parking lot that's just to the south. And then the existing area where you come in normally. So yes, they would be accessible from the outside, solely from the outside, actually, not from the inside. So they would be the bathrooms that we would have normally gotten out of the potting shed, only now basically an extension of the existing building.
But Tiger, explain what they're doing with their interior bathrooms as far as moving them.
Right, so part of the, one of the things that happened was that we need accessible bathrooms inside the Powerhouse Theater itself, just to be compliant. So when we started looking at that, putting those in, it started to shrink the lobby, move their office space around it, and it became quite cumbersome for the town players at that point. That's why they brought forward this idea of a lobby renovation, whereby if they expanded the lobby, they'd expand the space that they could use, kind of put together the plan or finish the plan that they actually had started in 1983. And then we would still be able to get accessible bathrooms inside. They'd have a larger lobby space, and they'd maintain their offices on the first floor instead of being forced to go to the second floor with the original plan to get bathrooms inside. So there are two separate projects, like I said, but both on the same campus. One will be expanded lobby space and accessible bathrooms inside the Powerhouse, and one would be accessible bathrooms for the outside. We can't necessarily ask them to be open all the time in order to bring people into the building to utilize bathrooms inside. You'd have to walk through the lobby and through the Powerhouse itself to get to the bathrooms. That's not a workable plan. So that's why we need the bathrooms on the outside for people, anyone using the south end of the park. Now that the Conservancy has been doing some fantastic work on the pond and the Genium Meadow and working on some other areas down there where now it's really becoming a destination.
So Tiger, can the moving the bathrooms to being attached to the Powerhouse, can that be done separate? Can that project happen even if they don't do all their interior work? I mean, do
Yes.
two things have to go together? Okay.
No, they do not. There might be a synergy as far as, savings and costs. Not really quite sold on that yet, but no, there's they are definitely separable. You can do the extension of the bathrooms on the outside. You can do the renovation of the potting shed, and then you can do the lobby. You can do all together, 2 out of the 3, or all separate.
Okay,
No,
any other
it
questions?
works, yeah.
Any other questions? Otherwise, we can
Yeah, I just want to,
move on approval, right?
point of clarification, this isn't really a special appropriation request, this is just an approving the
No.
appropriation of the grant funds.
I didn't say special.
No, but the
It says
agenda does.
special.
The agenda says
These are
special
not
appropriation.
taxpayer dollars.
Right.
You don't give public dollars, but the town council has to approve all capital projects. To start
So this
projects.
is simply
Gotcha.
for the minutes, the appropriation of grant.
Do you-
Good,
do
good
you-
catch.
Do we want to,
Don't call it special.
you're gonna restate that?
I'll put it in the
Okay,
minutes,
yes,
yes,
otherwise, okay.
for clarification.
I had a question about the $60,000 consultant for the GPAC. So if we approve this, do you have to go with that consultant, or are you able to go with other consultants? Because I saw that there was some negative press recently about that, and I'm just curious.
Are you talking about live?
Yeah, why you can't.
Live New
Maybe live,
But that, those are not consultants of the town, so, or TDEC. Those are, that's an existing program that the Board of Realtors has been using for 3 years. They've been paying $200,000 a year.
Yes,
So that's the one referred to currently in the article today.
Excuse me 1 second. It's not $200,000 a year. It's $60,000 a year. And it's about $200,000 since its inception 3 years ago.
Board of Realtors has put into the
Right,
program.
right.
That's Nancy Greenspan, who originally brought the program.
Excellent, okay.
so it's 200,000 a year?
No,
No, it's 60,000 a year.
200,000.
They contributed
Okay.
200.
And just for some color on Noble Media, Noble Media is Darien-based, but they also have an independent office. They are a very, I think, 40-employee firm, very successful
No, it is, yeah.
in many spheres, not only municipalities, but also corporate and political campaigns. We're looking to hire them. Have we hired them yet? For the, they have a whiz-bang product that they've developed, they've built market to the world, but it allows you to really consolidate your communications technology, which we very much want to use. That's something we've been trying to develop for 2 years. Apart from Everbridge, which is our emergency outcall system, but so they're a very credible firm. The criticism that I just read about them, I personally was not founded, and the fact that they're based in Darien, I'm full of things.
So you haven't.
Not 200,000. for starters.
Kevin, could I,
Just make sure we're clear about it. Well, it says 60. It doesn't say
Yeah,
50.
yeah, it says 60.
Since the inception of their program 3 years.
I understand that, but this is not for 200.
and by the way, it was not created by Noble House. Noble House is doing an excellent job. It was I can speak because I am really the mother of the program who started it almost 4 years ago with the Board of Realtors. I'm a 30-year PR and marketing executive from New York who was a realtor. And 3 years ago, I said to Janice Hennessy, the then president of the New Canaan Board of Realtors, when the real estate market was lagging, this town needs a PR and marketing campaign to, bring the real estate market back. We started with another agency, and I have many years of experience in running and managing agencies. They got us off the ground. They did a fair job. But we wanted to take it to the next level with digital marketing and a level of expertise and sophistication that the first agency didn't have. So it is by far not the brainchild of a so-called snake oil organization in Darien. It was founded by the Board of Realtors to help the real estate market, and it has grown to help over 300 businesses in town, which are now featured on the website and regularly promoted through social media, Google advertising, and emails that go to 20,000 people every 2 weeks, 10,000 in New York and 10,000 in targeted zip codes outside of New York, where we're hoping to bring in new real estate buyers. So it has grown to benefit the town of New Canaan in a very expansive way. It was not developed by Noble House, but Noble House has done an outstanding job of executing creative and managing the campaign that would cost 2 or 3 times the amount that we're paying them if it were done by a New York agency, and the quality would be no better.
we're not actually here to pick apart the individual project. This is approval of this slate as recommended by the committee and the selectmen's office. I just want everybody to know. I have
Okay,
no problem with questions.
I felt it was necessary to correct
Oh,
some
Nancy, no worries.
misconceptions.
No, I'm not, that's absolutely fine. I appreciate the context actually, and your question is perfectly fine.
Yeah, so we're approving $60,000 for advertising and promotion. The contractor has not been decided yet, but it
No.
looks like.
No, no, no.
No, it's all for them.
It's Noble House.
Scope.
Oh, it is.
It's all Noble House. And believe me, we are very impressed with Noble House's capabilities. And they've done a great job. Social media is where the eyeballs are in Manhattan, and elsewhere, people looking to move to New Canaan or come to New Canaan to visit. So
Victor, it's an existing program
Yeah.
that's been in existence for 4 years, so we're
And
just
it's
funding.
managed by the Board of Realtors,
Yeah, yeah.
executed by Noble House under the direction of the Board of Realtors.
Asking for a contribution.
Yeah,
Okay. You're good with it. Thank
which
you.
is within the
Yeah.
scope of ARPA, which
That's-
includes economic development. So
Yeah.
this was the only line item that was not in kind of our subcommittee, but it's not a big line item, and it certainly is in the objective of it. And I felt, especially the Board of Finance, I don't think we should, at this point, select
We
board
also-
approved it and let the town council.
we also gave them prior grants from our economic development budget for $10,000 each year. Just one 10,000. Yeah.
Just the first year.
For sure. Yeah.
Okay, other questions on any of these other items? If not, I would suggest we have a motion to approve this appropriation.
I actually do have one question, sorry, Todd. On the outdoor bathrooms, I heard Tiger talk about the powerhouse, and that's fine, but it also refers to the skating rink. Is there a separate bathroom that's being proposed for the skating rink, Tiger?
No, we're able to handle putting in heat, and so we won't have to winterize the bathrooms that are adjacent to where the rink will be in the center of the fields by the softball field and the soccer fields. There's an existing bathroom there, and we were able to put heating units inside there, so therefore we'll be able to keep that open year round. We were able to do that within our existing budget or existing budgets right now, so we're fine.
So it's not a permanent fixture. It's a temporary thing that's there for the winter near the skating rink?
No, those bathrooms have been a permanent fixture for the past 10, 12 years. They just we used to winterize them every winter. Now we, because of the skating rink there, or because we actually wanted to have bathrooms in that location as well, we heated those. We put heaters in just a couple weeks ago.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Kevin, did you want me to mention about the nonprofit?
Yeah, so we just had the community foundation, we had a meeting, the subcommittee had a meeting with the community foundation leadership. There as well, with a special.
They already have,
Is this part of this appropriation?
yes.
That's the next step.
Well, can I finish this? Because we have a
Sure.
motion on the
Sorry.
table. Sorry. I have a motion on the table, and I have one. I need a second.
I second.
Then Judy seconded. Let's let me clean this up and get that, and we can have that conversation. Okay, all in favor of the special appropriation, please raise your hand or say aye.
Roll call again,
Oh, roll call again. I guess we don't have to.
we have to.
Okay.
Colin Dobbin, yes.
Schulte, yes.
Amy Murphy Carroll, yes.
Joe Biden, yes.
Judy Noble, yes.
Todd Alvieri, yes?
Maria Weingarten, yes.
Victor Alvarez, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, unanimous. Okay, so moved. Now, there's a second question on the table.
We anticipate bringing a second round of ARPA grants in January, and the community foundation has solicited requests for COVID damaged nonprofits. The return date is January 15th,
January 22nd.
January 22nd, so that by February, I anticipate we will move forward with some nonprofit grant.
Okay, so
Request
right,
in the aggregate from the community foundation.
okay, so we have $1 million left that we had in hand. We have $3 million more coming. The question really is, what is the plan for the next, you must have a long list of asks.
There's the selectmen put out a list, we put out a list, prioritize some, added some.
Yeah.
And, with some that we
Okay.
need additional information, so there's plenty of places where we can look this
Okay.
money toward, right?
So we will get another look at the next $1 million when?
Hopefully. in
February? January?
By February.
February.
Yeah, we don't know whether the nonprofits are gonna amount to 300,000, 600,000, or whatever.
We're just leveraging the
But
expertise.
The community foundation, spends total $1 million in the special COVID funds last year that they raised. So
Yeah,
we just don't know which nonprofits really still need it.
I love the process. So you'll come back with another conversation in February, and then there'll be another one in May or June, and then another one.
See
in
how it
who
goes.
knows? Okay, I think it's great.
Great, great.
That's terrific. That is really well done. Okay. The Athletic Foundation, I thought we were,
It was already posted.
yeah, very good. Okay, so Mike has asked to come back in January. And we'll do that at a conflict, so we will do that. Okay, so the next was just to get an update on the police department, and I think was this posted or?
Jim, you sent it to.
I'm gonna try.
Okay. So there was a document that Amy handed out at the meeting, and
Yeah.
Jim's gonna post in the.
I'm gonna try.
Okay, so I think this was really a simple question. We've had a couple of public meetings, and right now, where are we in terms of what do the various options look like? I would say that, well, what do you want? Why don't you walk through where you are, and what you have, and then we have to think about how we want to proceed, in January as we go forward with this, and all that.
Yeah, and this is just a kind of a follow-up to the joint meetings we've had. So Jim and I, and other people on the building committee, which is considering options for the police department at the current site. And so, given that we've had these meetings, I think there's a sense that let's just keep this momentum building. And we just wanted to provide you with a quick summary of kind of where we are and what cost options are at the current location, if the green light is given to go forward with that. And just in terms of, we're getting to Christmas and stuff like that, but just like we don't want the momentum to stop in terms of kind of, we all know the police department needs something fixed. Okay? And so we just wanted from the committee that we're sitting on, kind of summarize where we are. And so Jim put together this one pager. All of this information was provided, embedded in the joint meetings that we've had, but just to kind of really summarize it on a, one pager, the options of if you renovate. I think in here, Jim, we do have renovate while occupied. I think in general.
They're both, the green one's occupied, the
Yeah.
blue one's vacated.
And we almost put out the, doing while occupied, because there was a sense from people that maybe that wasn't a good idea, but since Jim had the information and Brian Hughes and stuff put together, we thought we'd put it in. But then, the options that may go forward at the current site is take the current building and renovate it. And then the renovation option is potentially with or without, we'll call it's listed here pistol range, but in really fact, we're going to call it the training facility.
Yeah.
I know discussions continue to see if we can get some sort of team effort across a couple towns of whether we can do it in and out. And the second option, of course, would be to build a brand new spanking new building. And they both, have pluses and minuses and considerations.
That's on site.
On site.
Yeah.
On site. So we're just talking about the
Yeah,
one
that's
seventy-four.
good.
174 South
Yeah.
Avenue.
Jim, just interject whenever you have. And so this is, the only attempt here is to kind of like, just really put the high level numbers together. And I know people have said, well, we have additional questions, et cetera. Obviously, all this information has a lot of backup. But from ours, where we sit, we're kind of a little bit stalled, so we need direction, what to do. We certainly want to try to help in any way we can. But in helping inform this decision, we're happy to take, questions. People say we need to know X, Y, and Z, and come back and say, okay, well, I know Thomas said people have very specific questions about if we do new building versus renovate the building, and it's all legitimate stuff. So we're saying, please give us the questions, and we're happy to come back and from at least where we're sitting, be able to answer them as best we can for you. The one highlight here, there's many considerations in terms of the current location. But the one thing, we probably have a best feel, Jim, correct me if I'm wrong, what the range will be if you renovate the current building, because they kicked it around a lot and know about it.
Right.
The second option, who knows the timing, the considerations, the challenges of that. I guess it's a little harder with that. So there's a sense that if the town said, let's get this going, and if you were to pick the renovate building, maybe 8 months before we get plans.
6 months for plans, 6 to 8 months for shovels in the ground.
So you could get going. So And that was, the purpose of this was
Yeah.
just to kind of come back and say, hey, we're sitting here, we're happy to go. We need direction, and we're also happy if people rightly have questions, you know. I'm happy to field questions from Board of Finance and then send them to the building committee and come back.
Well, I know of two pretty important questions that have been asked by me by multiple people. So I'll start. I just have two. One is there's concern by some that while renovating is less expensive, how do we know we're getting the same building as build new? And there's been, questions about, are we getting a 30-year building if we renovate and a 50 or 100-year building if we build new, and back and forth? And if so, maybe that's fine, but what's that worth? That's kind of some of the questions. I think just a little more comfort on, can we really renovate? And can we really feel confident that we're not gonna have a leaky building or a broken build or something? You don't have to answer it now, don't even. That's a big one. So I think thinking about how to do that thoughtfully, there's members on this committee and other committees and town council members.
I think there's good answers to that.
Yeah, okay, that's one. We're not gonna do all that tonight, but the second one that I've
And
been
we'll
asked,
get the questions and then we'll come back.
that would be one, and I think you have them, and I think you did them in the other meeting, Jim. I mean, there was some, but I would say that's one. The other question I've been asked is, what are we giving up? What's the give up if we stay? I think it's a good question. I don't think we have an answer for it. What are we giving up? If we were to build something, develop something, put something there, is there revenue? Is there tax income? So what could the site be sold for? What could be if we generated something? I'm not gonna even try to make it up. I'll leave the witness just to say, there could be a developed area which paid taxes for the next 100 years. What are we giving up by staying there? And that's, again, that's a number or a range of numbers.
And of course, the big variable on that, many variables on that,
Yeah.
is who knows what the real estate market is.
Of course.
The big variable is, where are you gonna put it?
No, leaving.
Right?
I asked that.
You can't ask the question without the other.
I asked that question with the following hat on. This is not the opinion part of the newspaper, this is the financial pages. So the financial pages needs an answer for that. I get it, of course. Nobody wants it in another place. I understand all of those things. I think our job as the financial page is to just know a range of what are we giving up. I just, we are putting an answer out there today. For 50 years, what did we give up? I think that's the question.
Well, there's two answers. One's the financial and the other is the physical.
Yeah, well, that's right. No, there's three answers. What are we giving up? What's the other option if you're gonna give it up? And I get, and there's a cost
The
associated
other
with
option
that.
might take off tax revenue too.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, or, right, exactly. And,
And, right,
yeah.
and some people have been floating nonprofit, well, you're not gonna get any revenue from that if you put nonprofit.
Yeah, that's right. No taxes.
Right, so,
yeah, that would be an option. You're not giving any.
Well, that's only true if it's public housing. Because any residential housing is taxable. If it's used for private residential purposes, except public housing.
anyways, but I guess,
Just a question.
okay, but the
That's all.
question is, how do we
Yeah.
move this town to make a decision? So we have been,
Well, that's his swim lane. That's not my
We're
swim
gonna have a lot
lane.
more information in January. See, I just don't think we're ready for a December decision. That's the-
I'm not asking you to send it, but I want people to know generally.
Yeah.
What it would cost there, and I think there's great comfort from the architect, Jim, who's done, how many buildings in town now, 3, whatever? 4.
Who's counting?
Right, this town, that what can be delivered
Yeah.
in a renovated project
Just,
is built.
It's a big decision. I mean, it feels like there's an obvious and easy Occam's razor kind of, easy answer. Right? That's probably it. But we need to answer a couple questions. That's all. Arguably.
usually those 4 buildings, the only one that's been occupied, to be individual occupied was the police building.
Yeah.
So anyways,
Well,
please, any,
Yeah, I'm not asking renovated versus occupied versus unoccupied. That's again.
That's a different-
That's a very
I would,
different question.
you know-
Anyway, I think those are the 2 questions that I've been asked, and I feel some obligation to put them forth to have at least a little dialogue around.
all right, so I'm gonna request it from board finance, so if there are drill down questions you want from
Yeah,
what the building committee is charged with
okay.
at the site, please, and I just think as a town, we gotta get going. on
Yeah,
this.
oh, no, we've told the
Time
police
is
that we're
money,
gonna do
it
this. so
costs,
we
it's
definitely-
not gonna get cheaper.
Is it fair to say that we have agreed that if we renovate the police station, that we renovated unoccupied?
Yes, I
Are
think,
we all at least in agreement on that?
I think most people.
that was the sense I got.
I mean,
from
you know,
Rachel.
you look at the potential suits between toxins and asbestos, and we've been there. Why would we even consider
Okay,
doing?
no, but I think this, I think the
That's-
sense from the joint meetings was, if you're gonna do it, let's just.
Then we're, at least that part we can take
You're
off.
trying to make it
Okay,
last for 70 years. or
That's
longer.
right.
You want to gut it entirely,
Yeah.
all the
Well,
pipes. all
Yeah,
the-
that's,
Yeah,
that's what.
and you don't want people there. You want the facade, you want the building, you don't need to have people injured.
So those are the only two questions that have been coming my way.
Yeah.
Again, I do know the general consensus is to everybody what wants to do. Those are two. I don't know if there are others, but if there aren't any, give us a process. The process is get those questions to Amy.
And the pistol range should be with a separate track because it's not really incorporated into the building.
Exactly.
Yeah. I
And,
agree. That's
and
good.
there's a lot more research to be done there, which we should have in January.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Are
think
we
we
in
just,
agreement on that?
I
too?
think in terms of comparison, new would have it embedded, renovated would be separate, so I think that's why I just kind of made sure we.
All right, is the Wilton discussion still going on?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing the Wilton and Richfield first like tomorrow.
Because that would definitely be a
Good,
a
that
big
would
factor,
be
yeah.
such a,
a very big factor.
And there's other options, but
that's a good plan.
Wilton is bringing a police department to their town meeting in January, and Richfield is planning a new police fire combined facility for $55 million.
Oh, wow.
This is a bargain.
Oh, we've already done this.
Say we're done.
We've already done it. Oh, that's not-
All right, I appreciate
Howard.
it. Amy? Okay, thank you. Okay, sidewalks.
Hey,
Yeah.
can I ask a question? I'm sorry, Todd, before you go on. I just have a question for Jim, and maybe it's my lack of understanding, but I thought in the prior presentations that were made, that it was actually less expensive to do a renovation where the police remained in the station. And now your projection shows that it's equal, whether it's done vacated or whether it's done in place.
No,
Did something change?
we'll get to the chart, but it's actually quite a bit less to do it while occupied.
It's 1.6 million more to do it vacated.
Okay.
If you look while vacated, option A2, 17.98 million. And if you look at the same renovate while occupied, 16.3. I think those are, I'm using the highs for both, just out of apples and apples, right?
That's correct.
So it's about 1.6 more. I think everyone's saying for the 1.6 million, which is just an estimate, one, we have open space, we can find a way to try to reduce that cost. That was the science project.
We can.
And then it's a safety factor. It's, we've got PCBs and possibly asbestos in the air. We don't want anybody.
That made a lot of sense to me. I was just making, okay,
No,
thank you.
there's no special.
They're the ones who brought that up.
Are you serious this time? I mean, really?
This building's been renovated twice and been cleaned up.
All right, so it's a spotless building, but it's still a safety issue.
That's helpful.
Yeah, we'll find something. Okay, so.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, yeah, no worries.
And the difference, but it's just a relocation cost. That's the difference. That's the one.
Right, yeah, okay.
You mean to move? to-
Well, we haven't factored anything for safety on the positive, which is fine as an assumption, but there's some safety benefits to having them all out and just some things like that that I think we're all saying.
No cut.
Yeah, they're all saying the same things.
Oh, I think we can.
We'll get the cost down and avoid the risk. Okay.
It's probably time savings.
Yep.
They didn't say a lot, remember? Yeah, it was.
It's
a little-
2 months.
It's about 2 months. It's not a big-
So we can keep working if it's there more months.
That's-
Okay,
No.
not helpful. All right. No. Okay, sidewalk. So is this you, Tiger?
Yeah.
For the appropriation, this is.
Yeah, well, yes, in essence, it's basically acceptance of a contribution from the Friends of the Mead Park Playground. We partnered with them on the construction of the playground and the walkway there too. And the monies ran through the town funds. So the walkway, we contracted with Peter Lonnie. We paid the contract in full. And they're giving us back their portion. We'd like to put that back into our sidewalk account the account that it was paid out of, but at that point in time, if they put it in, the account will go from a $300,000 account to a 390. And according to Linda, we wouldn't have approval to spend the 390. We only have approval to spend 300. So we have to accept the funding in, and then the budget will change to 390, and then we can spend up to 390, or spend the money that they're giving us back.
Not for that project.
Not for that project. No, we'll use the, the contract was $100,000. The town spent 10 on it. The Friends of Mead Park Playground spent 90. And then we'll be able to use that $90,000 for other sidewalk projects in town. So it is.
Probably should restate that too, so it's other projects in town, because it's confusing.
Sorry, Jack, is this just a transfer? We're really approved, we're accepting the,
Linda recommended we do this.
okay.
Right. We've done something similar whereby, and we will be next month, because I just finished negotiations with Aquarian as far as their contribution towards the repaving of Main Street, Elm Street, Church Street, and a portion of Park, based upon the water main that they put in. So when we ran the contract through the town funds, they're reimbursing a portion of that cost. So it's very similar to what we had done about a year ago, whereby it's their reimbursement. So I'll have that exact same situation coming forward. So in essence, it increases the appropriation to take into account the contribution.
Okay,
That
I guess
is.
we ask for a vote on the a motion to approve the special appropriation as written here. I'm gonna take
Yeah,
over
I
that.
don't think.
Everyone okay with that?
Yeah, sure. All right.
So a motion to approve the special appropriation for sidewalk project as written and proposed. Maria, second. Victor? All in favor?
Roll call, please.
Roll call.
That's the rules.
Well, it's unanimous.
It's
They
unanimous.
said it should be roll call. When
Every
you've got people
time.
on either.
Unanimous.
All right, fine, it is what it is. We're not.
We're gonna do whatever.
Go ahead, show it. Tom, yep.
Yeah.
Tom?
Yes.
Amy? Neil?
Nelly, yes.
Tom O'Leary, yes.
Maria Wonder, yes.
Victor Alvarez, yes.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for that is.
Thank you.
Oh,
It's not bad,
it's kind of.
it's not bad.
Great. Josh, why don't you give us the latest? We've got the materials.
Sure.
Step us through, just start with the revenues.
Sure. So on the revenue side, first, the numbers for the January supplements came through at 315,000 above the budgeted 650,000. So that'll be a nice little increase. That's
What?
the January supplements from the,
Yeah, I know what it is. But you're
Yes.
telling me we got 900,000?
yes, well, to be billed.
Okay.
So above, it'll be, I guess it's technically not listed here.
That's the part, supplemental tax.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Building permits are 100% over year over year
No,
from,
no, I just want to make sure.
sure,
We budgeted 600,000 for that.
650, yes.
625, I think.
650,
625. And we got 960.
yes.
Because people,
I have to send Bob Spangler an email and give him an update. This is his favorite.
people buy a lot of cars and all of a sudden they have these increased tax bills,
Okay.
which we always lost track of in terms of the January payment.
Sure.
So it's a bump that we always
Okay.
lose track of in terms of increasing the revenue.
The second item would be building permits, which is up year over year, 100% basically.
So you can't really project that, but we could easily see that north of 2 million
For the
for the
building,
year.
building permits.
Oh, building permit, I didn't convince you that.
Well, conveyance fees, right. That has already been in excess of the,
The 4 year.
right. Yeah, so that's hard to project if it goes, if people are building less and buying less towards the winter, but beyond that, parking obviously has been up from nothing from last year.
Yeah, little bits.
But that is kind of on track with where we are budgeting it. Other than that, for revenues, I think we're a little bit better off than we were last year. We're at 56% of overall revenue versus 53% from last year.
If I read that right, it's about $5 billion ahead of a revenue rate last year.
Yes.
And the amount we want to have was about flat,
Actually, what,
right?
140 million?
Correct, yeah.
We were 140, yeah, that's true. Okay, well, this is gonna be interesting.
In terms of expenses, I think it's pretty much on track. It's 36% while we're 40% of the way through the year. The highlights, I guess, would be the just health insurance, which is at 61% right now. Probably something to keep an eye on. But other than that, nothing really stands out.
Yeah, health insurance question, I know it's gonna be a pressure this year. Is it the absolute cost of the delivery of service, or is it people using insurance?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good
You know,
question.
I'm just curious. It's
The biggest factor is high risk cases, lung transplants, heart transplants.
Yeah, that was good.
Pretty big, so those are the ones that will bump us up to the maximum.
Mhm.
Especially on the Board of Ed side with a $300,000 deductible and $100,000 deductible. But the stop loss limits our exposure.
Sure.
But we still have, that's what the increase costs.
Yeah, so it's the outlier cases that are pushing it up, not necessarily people are finally going back to the doctor or the costs going up.
And we had a really bad year last year, yeah. So many issues, but it's still live there lungs, but
It only takes a couple of.
Yeah,
It's not.
yeah, okay,
it's
thank you.
not a mediating factor. It's-
Thanks.
So this would say we're about $1.4 million under year over year compared on the expense, and 5 million over on the revenue. That's how you build. A reserve. Oh, yeah. Just stop right there and do everything else for the rest of the year. Oh, my gosh. Okay, well, we'll do that.
they don't result.
And over, it's over, my God, we've done that to you. Okay. Excellent, thanks. Anything else, Josh, you want us to know on the budget? Any updating else?
I don't think so. I think we'll have a better picture going into January
Yeah.
for the Board of Selectmen.
Okay. All right, and then you have line item transfers, are we voting on these or just reviewing? these?
No, it's just reviewing.
Any questions on those? Or anything to highlight? Yeah, them all.
Did Linda prepare these as his final actor?
No, this is,
Josh always prepared.
yeah, these are all mine.
Oh, yeah.
I've been putting these reports together for years.
Wow.
I went to meeting the other day, so I did that for Linda every month.
I think Linda is coming tomorrow.
Yes.
I really give a grief for that. I said, you've got to be kidding me. You're skipping this meeting.
Well, he also,
You're coming to.
he also came in on Sunday.
And then we're presenting the audit tomorrow night. So
He agreed to make himself available for a few weeks.
This is it, just $6,700, we're good, okay, $6,700 transfers. All right. I know this sounds tedious and boring and wonky, but I have to tell you, if you haven't gone through the audit,
Oh, yeah.
just take your time and take 30 minutes.
Read the MD.
It's unbelievable, it really, every year, but I have to say, I just,
You learn a lot.
God bless these people put this together, there's really great info. This
That's
is
why-
our swim lane, I'm learning things here about the audit.
That's why we got awards.
Oh, I'm very impressed, really,
Yeah.
really amazing, so,
Unfortunately, Linda's a very high standard
yeah,
that we have to maintain.
which is actually an attraction
Yeah.
for anybody who wants this job.
Right.
Because, well, I'm serious,
Yeah,
that's in
it's all
place,
there.
it's all there. That's exactly
So that'll
right.
be tomorrow night at 10 o'clock.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I can have a motion to adjourn, our last meeting of the year. So move, Maria? You'll say everyone stay. Victor? All right, all in favor, we're not doing a roll, all in favor? Hey, I just gotta thank everybody, all you this year, this was just a crazy year and a crazy 18 months. And I hope we have a budget season that should be a little smoother. And so our financials are in really, really good shape. Thanks for a lot of hard work. Tiger, big shout out to you as always for everything that you do. And to this board again for all the hours you put in. It's unbelievable. So thank you all very much. Have wonderful holidays. I guess we gotta go see one at the town council tomorrow night, so we'll go there.
Catch Planet Bunny.
Very good. Thank you, everybody. We're adjourned. Thanks, Jim.
Holiday.